Good evening, everyone. I presume someone can hear me out there. I'll click the comments and I'm just going to do a share. So just bear with me, everyone. There we are. I think I should have shared that out to the public. If anyone's out there, just give me a comment. Say hello. Tonight we've got two guests, Danny and Janet. They're going to be talking to us about personal experiences in a previous house. And these are first-hand accounts and first-hand experiences, which I'm always interested to hear people's own personal stories about what's happened. So I will now click and bring Danny and Janet in. And there we are. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
All right. Okay. Good.
Very good. Very good. Right. The purpose of tonight, and there'll be a few more of these because there's quite a few other people that are interested in talking about their own personal experiences, which, of course, we all have. I set out to gather or try to gather recordable evidence when I go out doing paranormal, photos, video, audio. But personal experiences are somewhat different because you haven't always got recording equipment around. So, Danny and Jan, this is really about a previous house of yours, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
How long did you live there?
Altogether, me 11 years.
Right.
And I lived there for seven or 8 years.
And this is going to sound odd, Jan, but you said you were effectively, would you say, bothered, mithered, or haunted for quite a long time, a number of years?
Yeah, very long time.
Right.
Me and my children, yeah. It was every day.
Would you say it was really troublesome, or was it something got worse, or you got used to it?
It was troublesome, and it was frightening, expensive.
Elaborate.
The electricity bill would be through the roof, to the point it was a council house. I phoned the council, they come and rewired it. The electrician said there was a power surge somewhere in the house, but they couldn't find it. But yeah, it was using so much electricity.
Wow.
The light bulbs were blowing. I would have 10-year warranty light bulbs and they'd just blow within about half an hour. They'd blow.
Did the electricity people ever monitor the voltage levels or anything like that? Did it ever get to that extent to try and track it down? And did they ever account for it?
No.
But there was obviously noticeable peaks in electricity that blew the bulbs.
Yeah.
Surges. What other sort of things did it damage in the house then? TV was a TV affected or anything like that?
TV was affected. I'd have the controls on top of the fireplace, and my sofa would set back, and my chairs, and the kids and I would be sitting watching the telly, and it'd go over and over, and it'd turn the telly over. The sound would go loud, it'd go really low, which you could say was the telly. Toys. Battery operated toys, I'd pull the batteries out because they'd go off all the time.
Right.
And they'd go off with no batteries.
Radios, ordinary AM, FM radios.
4 o'clock in the morning, every morning, my stereo would be full blast downstairs.
And was there anything significant on it, i.e. voices or noises or anything unusual?
Just blaring music.
Right. So I mean, as somebody who researches paranormal, I would say I would love to hear voices or something like that. But this effectively was just the switching of the technology, it's being switched on. Was it trying to grab your attention or something?
I think so.
And it got your attention.
I had 2 dogs, and the dogs would bark in corners, just sit there growling and barking at corners, and there's nothing there.
Right. So did you ever see anything like an apparition or anything like that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Come on, do tell. What did you see?
I could hear and see things. All my kids were in school, and I would hear somebody shouting "mum," well, a child shouting "mum," and I'd be looking around the house. I couldn't blame it on next door. We were attached onto one house next door, and it was empty.
Right.
It'd been empty for years.
Right. So you could rule that out.
Yeah. And it seemed to be coming from upstairs, and I'd go upstairs, and there was nothing there.
Well, you get someone walking up and down the stairs all the time. You just give up, kind of like checking, because but you dare someone walk up the stairs.
Right. But what did you feel did you ever feel threatened or in fear then of anything physically happening to you?
Frightened to death in my bedroom, my own bedroom. Absolutely frightened to death. I could, when I was lying in bed, I could hear, as I was breathing, somebody else was going down my ear.
Right.
And it would frighten me. And then I'd look into the wall where I was facing, and there'd be a hand. You'd see a shadow, and then a hand would come out as if it was going to grab you. It was absolutely terrifying. I'd get the clothes, the bed clothes pulled off me. I'd get my hair pulled.
You've never getting touched.
Yeah. Get touched.
How on earth did you stick it so long?
I'd nowhere else to go.
Oh, it's okay.
That's why I had nowhere else to go. I even went down to our local vicar to try and bless the house. They told me he wasn't going there because it was haunted.
So is he saying he knew it from previous occasions?
No, he said, I'm not going there if there's that much trouble. No, I'm not going there.
I mean, before you moved in, do you think he knew about it?
I'd asked people that had lived there before, and they said that they'd not noticed anything.
Right.
But no, I mean, the gentleman that lived on, it was another block. I asked him, he was an undertaker from that area, and he'd never heard of anything.
Right.
So whether he'd been fetching him home, I don't know.
How did you manage to comfort your kids then if they were experiencing some of these things?
It was very hard. Very hard.
Yes.
Some of them would wake up with scratches.
Yeah. Oh, you could stand there and be talking to them, and they'd have scratches down the face or scratches down their arms.
Yes.
Scratches on their legs, and it's not just a scratch; it'd be bleeding.
Christ.
You know. Yeah. They'd have their hair pulled. The school stuff would go missing. I used to try. I went to a spiritual church and tried to get some explanations there, but I didn't get much joy.
No.
It was really terrifying for us all. None of us would like staying in a room or in the house on our own. You know, even going to the bathroom, you'd see your breath in. You know, if something was going to happen, you'd see your breath in front of your face, and you'd hurry up. Even with a shower or anything like that, you'd feel like you're being watched.
I mean, this. I don't know if you've ever listened during the summer to Kieran O'Keefe's Enfield poltergeist story that was dramatised for radio. I mean, what you're talking about sounds very reminiscent, or there's parallels to it. Not exactly.
Yeah, well, I had a cast iron bed, and I couldn't move it. It was that heavy, I couldn't move it.
Yeah.
And it used to shake when I was in it.
Okay.
Literally shake.
Right. Just say a quick hello to some people that's joined us. Holly's there, Mandy's there, Sheena's there, Mal's there. So hi guys. How did your kids cope with it?
one of my daughters would wake up every night screaming.
Yes.
And she'd be dreaming, saying there's blood on her hands all the time, blood on her hands.
Right.
And the other one would wake up vomiting, and it really only affected the girls, not the boys.
Right.
Because through the house, that's how we met.
Yeah, that's how we met, through the house.
What, through like a spiritual
paranormal evening? I got a paranormal team in called Celtic Ghost Club.
Oh yes.
Through a friend of my son's, my eldest son.
Yes.
And he came to check the house out, and we were standing in the living room, just chatting, and he got too close, and there was a big scratch down his arm, and it was bleeding. He was absolutely petrified. He was taking pictures in a room which was dark but had a mirror in it, and he was taking pictures of the mirror with a flash, and it was just black.
Right.
So
absorbing the light somehow.
Yeah.
So when we met, we were asked to come up to the house, and at the time Steve was with us.
Yeah.
And Steve went in and just sort of done baseline levels, and we stayed outside, me and Migs. And now at this time, I was well past my level 2 Reiki, so I've been working with energies continuously for about 6 or 8 months. So I was really attuned to energies. And as me and Migs walked into the house, it was thick negativity. The only way to explain it was say you could feel like you could cut it with a knife. It was so powerful, so strong. Me and Migs had a walk around, we had a look, and it was just taking our breath away. Then all of a sudden it just dropped and left, went, that was it, gone. Then it was really, it really mellowed out, and we were kind of like doing some little bits of investigations. One thing we did have was a little girl laugh. We were all standing in the room, and we heard a little girl laugh from nowhere.
Yeah.
We've got a recording that we'll play later of the little girl. So that's
Danny, at that time, because obviously I met most of you through Celtic Ghost Club anyway, and Migs as well. And Migs is a very strong character. What did she make of it?
She'd never experienced anything like it.
Right. Okay.
This thick negativity, this thick negative atmosphere.
Yeah.
No wonder there was so much bad going on. But that atmosphere, once me and Jan got together, I moved in, started living there. When we started noticing this, and we started putting linking stuff together, you know.
Was there any change in the activity or energy when you two got together and lived together there? Did anything change?
Yes.
Go on, elaborate.
I didn't feel it as much. It wasn't. Before I met Danny, I used to walk up my stairs, and I would have to have the light on. I was 42 years old, and I had to sleep with the light on. I couldn't go anywhere in the dark. If I had to go up in the dark, I could see this man running after me. And he was a big man running upstairs after me, and I'd be petrified because there was only me and 5 children in the house.
Yes.
You know.
How did things change when Danny came along then? What would you say?
You came along and we had a paranormal evening there, didn't we? I explained how things were going on.
So when I was spending a lot more time there, the things that were being moved stopped.
Yeah.
Things that were getting thrown around, all the electrical things stopped, because I wasn't afraid. I was like, wow, this is ace. You know, I had a totally different kind of like idea of it. So what we found eventually was whatever was coming in was sort of feeding on negative energy. It
was feeding on our fear.
Yeah,
that was just the word that come into my mind then. Yes.
Yeah.
So
I have teenage sons and daughters, and they were obviously high energy, and I had newborn there as well. You know, my youngest daughter was born in that house, so that was high energy. That was new energy. So yeah, it was frightening. It was feeding off fear. The more fear we gave it, the stronger it got.
So when you moved in, Danny, did you take that on board and try and add positivity to take fear away? Yes.
Yeah, that was it. See, one of the things about our species, if there's something we can't work out or we don't understand, we either try and destroy it or we fear it.
Yes.
Which is a natural thing for us to do. And then you've got all the movies and all that type of thing, all the horror stuff, which is kind of like building upon that fear. So when you get to the point you come into this sort of situation, you are naturally attuned to fear.
Yes.
You know, and then it would be whatever it was there and there was many different things there. It wasn't just like one entity. There was many different types as well, which was quite strange, because we had a little girl, we had the big fella. We've had a few apparitions that had happened.
Did you ever figure out how they all come to be there then?
I just think it was the area. And they weren't all there all at the same time.
Okay.
It was different things coming in. There was one thing that we would do on a Friday. We usually have a drink, right? And sometimes we'd start to get argumentative. Then we'd start rowing. What I've noticed was there was this vile smell, because if you remember the house, the toilet was downstairs. So as you walk through the front door was at the side of the house. You walked in, the toilet was on the left, stairs were on the right. You walked down a hallway, turned right, went through that door into the dining room, and then turned left into the living room and through into the kitchen. It was a bit of an odd shaped house. So toilet was downstairs, and we'd have kind of like end up being bickering, arguing sometimes on a Friday night, and I'd say Saturday morning, I said, so who had the bad belly last night? No one.
Right.
The bathroom stunk, absolutely stunk.
And then it'd move upstairs.
And then we noticed it would kind of like go upstairs. It'd be on the landing. So what we noticed straight away, if we started bickering, the smell would be about, or it will turn up eventually through the evening.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be there before we start. As soon as we noticed the smell, it was like, stop, change it from negative to positive. We'll disagree. We'll disagree. We'll change it.
When you say stop, you mean stop your bickering. You actually, you noticed straight away you were feeding the energy by your bickering.
We were feeding it.
It was a sort of energy that would make you very angry.
Would make you very angry, really focused on anger.
So whatever the entity was, knew what it was doing. It encouraged you to be angry, to feed itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Did you figure that out at the time?
It took about 3 or 4 smells before we got to it, and then I think the last time it was, I went upstairs and it was on the landing, and we'd been at bickering. Only because of me, because I'm having a drink and I become a pain in the ass, argumentative, you know, as it is.
As things
went upstairs, it's like the smells upstairs. I walked down to Jan, I said, well, let's stop, just go upstairs. She walked up, she said, that smells up there. And I'm like, yeah, right then. As soon as we hear that, as soon as we smell it, we calm it off straight away. Whether it was there to stop us from rowing or whether it was there to want us to row, I don't know. Yeah. There's no answer, but once we kind of like started to recognize this thing. So these are the little things that we used to piece together.
Yeah. It's a fascinating story. It's very unusual.
Yeah, it's being aware. It's all it is. Because we were starting to get used to it. Because I was starting to get used to the weird things that were going on in the house. There'd be many a time where I'd be out in the garden, I hear Jan shouting. And I'm like shouting back, and she's, Danny. So I walk in front. What do you want? She said, nothing. So were you shouting me? So I wasn't. I could hear you shouting me. You know, there was a woman's voice shouting me. The only person in the house is Jan, and she's probably in the back room or whatever. And she's like, I wasn't shouting yet. that used to happen regularly.
But how do you account for that? Do you think there was somebody wanting you to go in the house, or just playing a game with you?
I don't know.
Right.
I couldn't answer it. I don't know. All I know that was Jan was shouting me. I walked in. She wasn't.
Right.
She hadn't shouted me at all. That happened several times over the years. But
Jan, did you ever hear any voices? Did you ever get called? You did?
Yes.
What would that be?
I'd hear voices. I woke up in the middle of the night to children laughing. And I thought my youngest two lads, a bit of the prankers, were playing in the middle of the night. So I walked out the bedroom, walked onto the landing. I walked in the bedroom and it was pitch black and they were fast asleep. So I walked into my girls' bedroom and they were fast asleep and my elder son was fast asleep. So when I walked back into my bedroom, I went to turn my bedroom light off and realised I turned it on. And I couldn't figure it out because I thought it was daylight. I honestly thought I'd put the light on or something, but it was light. I turned the light back off, got it back into bed, and it started again. So I got up again and I couldn't find anything. I just heard kids laughing. I'd hear children cry. I'd hear a whistle. I'd hear a woman talking. We'd be lying in bed, nobody in the house at all. The kids had gone down to my grandmother's, to my mother's, and somebody'd be talking downstairs. We go downstairs and there's nobody there.
Hear them talking, having a conversation. Mad. It was just bonkers.
Was there anywhere in particular in the house that was a focus, or was it everywhere?
Everywhere.
Any room didn't make any difference.
Right.
The thing is, once we started realising that, putting a positive look on it instead of letting it feed on as soon as Jan started calming down, it eased off. But we would know the atmosphere would change. And like this wasn't every day. We'd go 1, 2, 3 months with absolutely nothing, and then all of a sudden the atmosphere in the house would change, and we knew there was something about. So this is where we'd start kind of like recording stuff and leaving stuff. I'd leave EVP running through the night and sit there for hours listening to it, and there'd be nothing on it. But every now and again we would get something. So it was regular, but kind of like spread out. One of the things that we knew something was going on was our bedroom was at the front of the house, and outside the house there was a street light, and because we only had light curtains, that light would shine through. It would really brighten the room up, and it would go pitch black in there. And I mean, you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, right, where you should do, because there's a light outside. There's a street light outside. Yeah. That was one of the signs that we knew that we were going to have sometimes it lasts for 3 days, sometimes it lasts for 3 weeks, and something would happen once a day or once every other day. But there was something noticeable because we started becoming aware of these things. One night I woke up in the middle of the night, it was pitch black, which we became used to it. So I walked down the stairs, going to the toilet, and standing in the corner of the hallway was a little girl. And I'm like, we haven't got any little girls here. You know, she was about 6, 7, something like that. She was the size, it was female, she was size. You couldn't actually truly see the face or anything, but it was about a 6-year-old girl with long blonde hair. Yeah. And as I walked to her, she just disappeared, and I'm just like, oh, that was a bit mad.
Yeah. I've had a few similar experiences where you see outline shapes and figures, and there's no definition there. So I've seen that a few times. I have seen a couple of very, very clear apparitions, extremely clear, but they're rare. They're very, very rare.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mandy's asked a question which partly you answered before. She says, "Are you still living there?" Which you're not. I know you're not.
No.
And she said, "Did you tell the people that moved into your house about what had been happening when you moved out?"
No.
No. Nobody in there.
No, what it was, the council took the house back, they moved us, and then out of the kindness of their hearts, because we only had a coal fire for years, they decided to refurb the whole house after we left.
Right.
So they were going to spend a couple of months refurbing the house and then put people in it. By that time, we'd moved down here, so we didn't have the opportunity to speak to the people because we moved out the area, you know.
Would you have dared to tell people if you had?
I asked a lot of my neighbours. A lot of my friends lived up there, and they know what the house was like.
Yes.
A lady that lived across the way from me, I'm really good friends with. Her daughter moved in next door to us, and she could hear stuff in the house.
Well, the next door house was empty for about 6 months.
And we could hear people in there.
We could hear people banging and making a racket, and we walked the dog and there'd be no car on the drive and no lights on or nothing. There was no one in the house, but somebody was banging next door, like doing work there. Yeah. And we knew there was no one in the house, you know.
Yeah. During this time when things are happening, you get a lot of activity related to electrical equipment. Was there anything physical happen to other objects in the house? Anything moved, touched, broken, things like that?
No. Kids' stuff would go missing. Whatever they were doing, they'd come down, get the tea, go back up, it'd gone. And it didn't matter. We'd all look for it, and you couldn't find it. And in the end, somebody said to me, "Why don't you ask for it back?" So I did, and it started reappearing, but in different places.
Right.
You know, somewhere where they hadn't been.
Things would move. Like,
yeah.
We'd be sitting on the sofa, and like the ashtray would move on its own. You know,
yeah.
And we'd be like,
or a cup.
"Did you see that?" I'm like, "Well, do it again," and it wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know. So
Mandy's just came back before, and she says, "I'll put two things that she's asked here. Did you know what was haunting your home, and do you know if it's still going on now?" Did you ever figure it out what it was?
The gentleman I used to call Peter.
Right.
I don't know why, but I used to call Peter.
There was a little girl. There was Peter. There was other things that come in that we didn't know what were, but the most prominent ones were, and I mean, the most prominent one to Jan was the guy we call Peter that I never witnessed, and then there's a little girl that we both witnessed, you know. Yes. I think I may have witnessed who we called Peter once, and that was I woke up in the middle of the night and there was someone looking over me,
right.
Guy looking over me.
Yes.
And it'd been busy for about 2 weeks, and it was just that to get on your nerves. And I sort of half opened my eyes, and this guy's looking at us. So, "Would you go away?" Turned over, went to sleep. You know, because sometimes it would get too much. It would be, you know, and it was more the atmosphere. The atmosphere would drain you. You know, but so many different things coming in and out. But it was just mainly the two that were more prominent than anything else, you know.
So, back to the original question: did you ever figure out how it had all come about and started, or do you think it was just your presence there that fed off your energy?
We thought it was our presence there, and then we were thinking when we move, it will all come follow us here, but it didn't.
Right.
So then we thought, well, obviously it had to be the building or the area. Another thing that was quite weird was an EMF meter.
Yeah.
So you hold the EMF meter and it senses that way, and you put it closer, it can like senses the electronic magnetic field around it. So there was times where if you turned it down like that, it would go off. You turned it up, it would go off. If you left it central, it wouldn't do anything.
Right.
So we did this in the house, it would do that. We went out in the middle of the road, it'd do exactly the same thing. You'd get a magnetic field above us and below us, but nothing parallel. which was really weird.
Mm.
Try the same experiment a couple of weeks later, and then it wouldn't do it, which was really strange, because if it's an electric magnetic field, there has to be a source.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you've got an electric cable running underneath the path, it would pick it up. But why would it pick it up going upwards? But not?
Yeah.
It,
And
the
also,
strange.
yeah, it would be constant, wouldn't it? It wouldn't.
Yeah.
Be variable.
Yeah. So that was one of the weird things from a scientific point of view.
Well, a compass wouldn't work in the house.
Yeah, the
and
compass,
it wouldn't work outside.
yeah, it would just spin, and then try it a couple of weeks later, and then it would work. It was really odd, really strange going on, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I couldn't work that one out at all, why the compass wouldn't work, and that it would just spin, you know.
I mean, I know you know I'm into gadgets and I make things, and there's umpteen different types of technology that if I was invited to look at that house now, I'd bring loads of different types of kit along to try and detect these unusual changes and see if you make anything out of them. But I was talking to someone last night, and I've always said you don't get any reasonable results from existing technology. That's why I try and experiment to make things unusual and something different and alternative. But that I'm just going off on a tangent there. Holly has asked a question. I know what your answer is going to be. She says, silly as it sounds, do you miss living in the house?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, do you? I thought you were going to say no.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Once we had a break from it.
Yeah, it was all right.
It was all right.
Yeah, it's really quiet here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like I wish something had happened sometimes.
Right. Oh, I thought you would. I was definitely going to put money on you saying no, you don't miss it.
No, yeah,
we do miss it. We do miss it. Yeah, we used to see orbs. Now I'm not talking orbs on photographs.
Yes, yeah.
We used to see lights. They would sprinkle lights above.
Different colours. Yeah.
You used to see them a lot. I used to catch them. They'd be kind of like they're not like orbs. They're lights. An orb is of an energy sphere, isn't it? These were like flashing lights, little tiny flashing lights. And I found that if I'd noticed them in my corner of my eye, as soon as I turned around, they were gone. And then I'd try and catch them again, and I couldn't catch them. So I found that if I caught them, then I wouldn't look, and I'd sit there and watch them, and I'd say, listen, Jack, they're above your head.
Yeah.
And I know if I'm going to turn, I'm going to lose that kind of like that sight, and I won't see them for weeks. But things like that used to happen. But we never had proper, you know, the energy ball orbs that we see now and again. We never had them.
No.
Never saw them ever.
There's two little stories I'll just relate to that. One is at Plas Teg in the great chamber above on the first floor. If and people don't always do that when you visit, but if you spend some time there sitting on the floor looking up at the ceiling, quite often we would see the sparkly lights in the ceiling, which might or might not relate to a story that I'm not going to elaborate, but it's a story that no one knows, but it'll go in my book. It's a secret story that someone told me years ago. It might relate to that, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And the other thing is myself, Steve, and Steve's girlfriend, Michelle, we witnessed a glowing ball of light that moved along for about 2 or 3 meters right in front of us in the King's Head, in the front of the building in the King's Head. Not caught on photograph or video. The most bizarre occurrence of an orb that we've ever seen. That was about the size of a tennis ball, something like that.
Yeah.
And a purpley mauve colour as well, but it literally hugged the floor and moved along the floor, not even in a straight line. We all saw it independently. We didn't actually say anything straight away. It was only after the event, and one of us said, did you see that? Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. We got very excited about it. And that is one of our talking points of orbs as well. Because as you know, most people get excited about orbs on photographs, and there's an explanation for all of those, and it's not paranormal. We both know this.
Yeah.
The other ones, yes, anything other than that, that gets interesting.
Well, the Plas Teg orbs, they can be any colour, can't they?
Yeah.
I've only ever seen one which was yellow.
Right.
But I've had reports of people seeing white, blue, green, all different colours, you know, and different sizes as well, like, you know, so It's just, we never saw that in the house, did we?
No.
Never saw, but we did see little sparkly lights, which was quite different.
Well, in the King's Head, a few of us have seen, I've seen it a few times, is red flashing lights, little specks of red light. And the first time I saw one in one of the guest rooms, I could have sworn it was the same sort of flash of light from a smoke detector that flashes once every 30 seconds or once a minute.
Yeah.
And when we put the lights on, I was going to swear there was a smoke detector above a wardrobe, and there was nothing there, absolutely nothing there. But bizarrely enough, other people have seen the same flash of light in the same area. I've seen the same one about 3 times in that area. So there is something very odd about it. It is one of the more puzzling things about what we do. There is something to it, because I've witnessed it myself.
But there's no answer. We don't know what they are. So we can catch one and analyse it.
Yeah.
We don't know what they are.
But that's what we're out to do, isn't it? I mean, that's what we're looking for, is to try and get to these answers.
Yeah.
One of the things we did last night, I had a piece of kit which I've never used out and about before, is got someone to do Kev did a walk around with this device. It senses electrical energy and turns it into light and audio. And as he walked around, there's a couple of prominent places where it gave a reaction. So we did an EVP recording in that area, and we did catch, I said before, I believe a child or a female voice. When I get to put it onto the computer, I'll put it out.
We can play you one if you want.
Mandy's actually asked the question, did you ever do any EVPs? So yes, Mandy. And Danny's going to play that for us now.
Well, this EVP was recorded in our bedroom.
Yes.
It's about 6-7 minute, a second clip, and the original audio file is about 40 minutes. And so obviously, as we were analysing what we'd recorded, we found the EVP. A friend of mine he said it's a category A EVP, which is you actually hear the word yes. What in the little clip you'll hear Jan will say, will you show us the lights? And you hear a little girl's voice says yes. Now that comes from a 40-minute EVP. If anybody who's watching fancies having a copy of the EVP and analysing it yourself, you're more than welcome.
Do you think that was the only one you heard on that recording, or do you think there might be more there?
There was other stuff, but it wasn't as clear as the little girl saying yes.
Yeah.
So I'll get it up. But like I say, if people think, well, that could have been somebody else in the room, then they have the whole EVP to listen to obviously analyze it themselves, but there are little bits and bobs on there. So I'll play it now. It's 11 seconds. You'll hear Jan saying, will you show us the lights? Or will you show us some lights? And then you hear the answer of a little girl say yes.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, just play it one more time again for us, Dan, please.
Now, the confusing thing about that, if you look at it from a science point of view, how a microphone works. So a microphone is a diaphragm that moves and turns that movement into electrical signals, and it records our voice. So when you hear that little girl say yes, which we didn't hear at the time, we didn't hear it at all. We didn't think, oh wow, yeah, that was great, because you hear no reaction from us whatsoever. How has that diaphragm moved to create that sound, to create that electrical signal to record somebody say yes, when we didn't even hear it in the room?
It's one of the things I've puzzled over quite a lot. My conclusion is, as you just said, if you're not hearing it with your ears, sound is essentially a physical vibration. It comes from our throats, it comes out of our voice. It's a physical vibration. Our ears turn it into something we can hear, and the microphone turns it into electrical. This is the critical part. Turns it into electrical energy that then can be recorded either on tape or digitally.
Mm.
So there's a process that's bypassing the vibration that a microphone conventionally picks up.
Yeah.
So in my view is EVPs, such as the one you've got, and I've got quite a few of my own, are not traditional voices that have been emitted from the same as us. When
From a sound wave.
Sound wave. They are more related to a thought field, a consciousness, of an electrical energy. Electrical energy, that's what I think the microphones are picking up. And I think for a spirit to be able to do that is extremely difficult, because microphones are designed to pick up our vibrating sound from our voices, not electrical energy. So whenever you capture something like that, my thought is, first, it's difficult for a spirit to do it. Second is the spirit has got to be very close to that microphone, that sensor.
Is something on your mic? I can hear your mic rattling.
Sorry. No, my mic's sitting on the desk right in front of me.
It sounds like it's rattling around.
Yeah.
Sorry, I might have been touching the cable. That might have been it. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
But part of my experiments, the piece of kit I've used quite a bit, I've bolted together 6, 8, or 10 mic elements all connected to the recorder at the same time to try and improve detecting that type of electrical energy. But I still think it's very, very difficult. But yeah, I think you're on exactly the same thought process as me. It's not a physical thing.
It can't be physical.
No,
you can physically hear it.
Yeah.
But like I say, that EVP, the whole 40 minutes, what I'll do, I'll probably drop it onto a file share site somewhere, and I'll send you a link. And if people want to analyze it themselves, they're more than welcome.
Right. Yeah. If you do that, I'll put it out on my Facebook page. Anyone that wants to take a listen to that, and I will certainly grab a copy and have a listen through to it as well, Danny.
Yeah. Well, I'll email you the copy. It's only small. It's only a small file.
I've got quite a bit to record to listen to from last night as well, but I'll get through that in the next day or two. So I'll get through them. Don't worry, I'll get through them. Holly's asked, I think I asked you earlier on, did you know what the history of the house or what was on the land before it? Did that relate to the activity? No, he didn't know anything about it at all. No.
I don't really. It's hard to say, because the amount of old buildings that we go into and we find nothing.
Yeah.
So is it a link between the history and something that's there, or is it something that's happening today? I don't know. I don't think there is a particular link between what's happened in a building throughout its history. Yeah. Because if you went into every building you would go in, you would kind of like witness something.
Yes.
So why is it just single individual buildings that have this activity? If it had something to do with the land or what had happened in it, then every house would be haunted, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
So
I think there's something in the stone tape theory. Some people still dismiss it. I'm still quite open to it, because from my point of view, I haven't conducted enough experiments yet. But that involves, once again, much more specialized technology. Still trying to detect energy waves, but turning them directly into audio to be able to listen to, but not using microphones, using different kinds of detectors. And then I can go down the route of actually creating an electromagnetic field of high frequency beyond our hearing range, but then listen to any echo response from it.
Yeah, that we can hear in our range, isn't it?
Yes, that's a future experiment. And the Abbey that we went to last night, I will put some kit together to experiment there, because that is a much older building than I realised. It goes back to the 1100s. I didn't realise it was quite so old. Yeah. So, yes. Mandy has come back again, because this is one of Mandy's favourites. Did you ever use a spirit board to ask any questions in the house?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
it'd be quite interesting.
Sometimes it'd be quite interesting. Other times it would just be bonkers. It would just, nothing would make sense. Yeah. Because because Jan can pick up and stuff and all the rest of it, and I can, then we don't really use spirit boards, to be honest. But when we did use them, they would either be just completely unfathomable.
Yeah.
Or bits of information would come through, and then I'd be kind of like trying to kind of like chase that information. You'd go off into rabbit holes and stuff like that, you know. So there wasn't anything really significant come out of it. There wasn't anything really concrete, like, oh, the board said this and we backed it up with this information. We didn't have anything like that. So, but then again, we use the board every now and again, but because we both do Reiki and stuff, and we're always that house, we were terribly cleansing it all the time, like, you know. It was one of the things we sort of kept on top of it to keep it positive. But do you remember the guy sitting on the bath?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was Christmas Day, and I had a few over for Christmas, and you make Christmas dinner and you have a little bit of a drink. And my daughter sent me to bed about 9 o'clock. I went to bed. As I'm going through the hallway to go upstairs, I sort of turned into the bathroom, and there was a gentleman sitting on the side of the bath.
Right.
He was very slim, ginger curly hair, pale complexion. He had a green top on and jeans which were down by his ankles, and he had a silver and black pair of trainers on. And I'm like, oh, okay. I thought perhaps somebody's asked him in and I haven't heard any. Right, okay, I'm going to bed. I got up the next morning and asked my daughter who was a friend. I said, I didn't have a friend. I said, yeah.
Would you say that was one of the clearer views you had?
That was the clearest thing I've ever seen.
Right. Did you see facial features? Was it that clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you didn't recognise him, obviously.
Not at all.
No,
nothing at all.
Did you mention it to all of the visitors that came to your house that day?
Yes.
And did anyone recognise him?
Well, at first I thought it was my daughter's so-called boyfriend or friend or whatever, and then I asked Danny who was his mate.
Right. There was only me, Beth, and I think Fee was there. You'd gone to bed.
Yeah.
We were just sitting down watching.
Everyone
TV.
had gone home. It was just us.
Yeah. But then again, one of the weirdest things that happened was Jan lost a mum. It's about 6-7 years ago.
8 years ago.
8 years ago, and it was the first Christmas without her because she died the 1st of January, and we'd had 12 months, and we come to Christmas, and it was difficult, you know. It's the first time, first time without your mum on it, and everyone come to us, so that the house is full of kids and people and everything, you know, and there was a knock on the front door, and I didn't hear it, but your dad and a couple of else, someone went to the front door, there's nobody there. We come back in. So we're kind of like spread between the living room and the kitchen. I'm sitting in the living room, and it must have been about half an hour later, somebody knocked on the opposite side of the living room door. So someone on the other side of the door knocked 3 times, and the whole kind of like room just went quiet, because we knew everyone that was in the house was in either that room or the kitchen. There was nobody else in any other rooms. So we walked to the door, opened the door, and there was nobody there.
Right.
And that was full on. Everyone stopped and everybody heard it, and it was somebody knocking 3 times on the living room door from the opposite side.
Right.
Things like that used to happen quite.
Right. Well, when you've got albeit say friends and family, do you remember what their reaction was at that time?
Well, everyone went, just the whole, it was such a weird thing for somebody, because we knew everyone, all the kids were accounted for. Everyone was in them 2 rooms. There was nobody else in the house apart from them 2 rooms, and we were all in there. So no one should have been knocking on the door. So the whole room went completely quiet. The 2 rooms went completely quiet. And so Chris looked at me, I looked at Chris, and I looked at your dad. So I got up, I opened the door, and there was no one there. And I closed the door. I said, I think Gwen wants to know that she's here.
Yeah.
Sort of uplifted then, like, you know. But yeah, things like that would happen.
Holly's come back with a question. She says, were you worried that spirits would attach them to you and follow you? But what I'd just like to tag on the end is, whenever the activity was quite high, do you think anything or anyone followed you outside the house, i.e. when you went to work or to the shop?
No.
I don't believe that spirit attachment is real.
No, I know. I'm the same, actually. Yeah.
I honestly don't think spiritual attachment.
No.
They manipulate the atmosphere, can get you arguing, stuff like that. But I don't think attachments. I think that's pretty much.
I agree with you. I think people misinterpret, as you say, spirits can affect you to try and make you feel uncomfortable or give an impression or something like that. People then misinterpret that as attachment, and I agree with you entirely. And I do, personally, I never feel affected when I go to a location. I can sense energy, but I don't particularly go to anywhere looking for that. But I can feel when the atmosphere changes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've always been very, very well able to protect myself, shield myself, even way before I was into paranormal. That was something I did in my childhood, and it's probably that it was something that happened because, I don't know, it was just my way that was something was going to happen in the future. So it was a gift that was given to me a long, long time ago. So this is why I don't have any problems going around any of these locations, but I do feel aware of things around, but never gets to me. I just like to be the observer of it all.
Yeah, and sit there and go, wow, is this?
Yeah. And if necessary, when other people start to feel uncomfortable, then I can go there and feel strong enough to comfort and help people.
I think, like I say again, if we don't understand it, we're naturally wired to fear.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things we've been to places where, oh well, if there's ghosts here, will they follow me home? I said, well, you work here. They can follow you home anytime they want to, if they follow you home.
Yeah.
So they don't follow you home.
Yeah.
And that's just what the media and the films and stuff.
I think that is, unfortunately, that's the biggest influence. Yeah, we tend to follow too much on that silver screen that we all watch, or the little one or the big one, and some people are more likely to follow it too much and too strongly. They believe it to be a truth, and it's not.
No, it's not.
But it's just one of them. But
I mean, when we lived in the house, some points when me and the kids were on our own, it was frightening. But you taught me,
don't fear it.
Don't fear it.
Don't fear it. Find out what they want.
Yeah.
Towards the end, then, as you wound down before you moved into that house, and you two have been together for some time, and what you just said there, Danny pointed you in the direction of not fearing it and promoting, let's just say, promoting happiness and good feelings. Did you feel more comfortable at that time? Was it something you could cope with better?
Yes. Right. When I first met Danny, we first got together, I was still frightened. I was frightened of being in the house on my own, having the light turned out, being in the dark. Anything.
It is when you first see stuff like that, stuff moving that shouldn't be moving. There's no logical explanation. You're straight away, if you know nothing about it, you're programmed to fear because you don't understand what's going on. The more it goes on, the fear builds until you can meet someone and say, well, that's interesting, and they take a completely different look at it.
I've seen that so many times at Plastegers, people allowing the fear to build up upon themselves. And I've just been the observer there, saying, "Oh, right, that's okay, that's fascinating." That, and they've let it go one way, and I think
imagination runs away with them sometimes.
We've been to places where people have wound themselves up that much And they're like, oh, I can't go in this room. I've got to go. I'm shaking. I can feel this. I'm like, nothing.
There was one night at Plastech many years ago where there was a group of about 8 or 9 girls that had organised a night out to come on a ghost hunt there.
Yeah.
And the main organiser, the one that put it all together, up to a certain point, she was very enthusiastic. When we actually went upstairs, and I think the first room they were going to go into was a twin poster room, as soon as she saw how dark it was, she could not go in that room, and she didn't go in the room. She spent most of the evening downstairs by the fire. She terrified herself, but she was the one who wanted to go there more than anyone.
Yeah.
So that was.
And the thing is, you'll find people who have been on these paranormal evenings, which are basically, I'd say 90% of them are entertainment evenings. You get the odd teams who are definitely into not putting a show on and seeing what will happen in the house, like they do in Plastech. There's a few other teams that I've met who are very much like scientifically based, but I'd say a good 95% of them are all just for the money and the show and stuff. And you get people saying, oh, well, I went on a paranormal night, and it's like, that's got nothing to do with investigation. It's got nothing to do with paranormal nights, got nothing to do with investigation whatsoever. Investigation is a prolonged time at a place collecting data.
Yes.
You know, it's the amount of times that we've been in places where we've spent weeks and weeks and weeks and nothing, then all of a sudden you get one thing. You know, it's that's what paranormal investigation is all about.
Well, as you know, I've been at the King's Head for a long time. Sorry, I just knocked my mic. And yes, that's definitely the case. You can spend a long time and absolutely nothing happens. But that also tells you the baseline of when nothing's happening, you know there's nothing happening. And when something significant happens, it stands out because it's different and it's observable.
Well, the atmosphere changes. You think, right then, we're in for a good couple of weeks. The house was like that. It'd be quiet for months, nothing. Then all of a sudden, it starts up again.
Did you ever find any conclusion why there was these lulls and peaks? No,
they were still going on the day we left.
Yeah, it was you would go out to work and there'd be nothing for ages, and you'd come back and it'd be like, oh God, it's thick in here. And then
that's a really bizarre one, isn't it? That there's nothing to coincide with what triggered it.
And I suppose the difference, because we were living there, we were noticing the changes. One of the things I noticed more is that if I'd be doing Reiki treatments there would be a lot more in the room as I was doing, you know. And
are you saying a lot more spirits with you in the room? Is that what you mean?
Well, I say spirits. There was a lot of energy
in the room, right? Okay,
a lot of energy in the room. If you can say spirits or what, but when I was doing the treatments there, sometimes it could be wall to wall, but nothing ever negative come in when I was working. When I was doing the treatments, there was nothing, never ever.
But anything downstairs, anything Reiki is positive anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, positive.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that ties that together really quite well, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and it can be quite, because I've done treatments elsewhere where there's been a few around, the room's been full, and I've done treatments where there's just me. That's it. But the only thing the only difference I noticed is that when I was doing the treatment there, I was thinking, well, if it's negative, obviously it's going to try and come in, but it just stayed out. It knew to stay away. You know. So, is it intelligent? I don't know. I think so.
Yeah. Well, from likes of EVP call outs that I've done on many occasions, and again, you're never guaranteed to get a result.
No.
On occasion, you would get a positive response, i.e. one in particular. This was Mandy that called this out in the King's Head many years ago, and we were sensing an energy presence in a bathroom off one of the rooms, and she was asking if the person would let us know who they are. And this is why I call this intelligence, because the recording we made was a gravelly, croaky voice saying, "Okay, curious, Earl Spencer." Earl Spencer being the name, not a title, but his first name, his name. The intelligent part, from my view, is a slight level of frustration to Mandy, as we always do. We all call out quite a lot.
Yeah.
And it's, "Okay, curious, Earl Spencer." And it was as if it was a real-time response, as if somebody was there with us and answering a bit gruffly, but answering nevertheless.
Yeah.
So I think there is. I've come to believe that there is intelligence within communication with the spirit world.
Yeah, definitely.
But I know a lot of people say there's lots of different levels of spirit contact or different spirits. So I wouldn't disagree with that. But if you ask questions in the right way, where there can be a potentially sensible answer, I think it gives you a greater chance of getting a response.
Mm.
The people that do negative call outs, I think they're barking up the wrong tree.
I think so.
I would say 90% of the time, yeah, but sometimes if you've got something that feels really negative, maybe a negative response would be apt to it.
Yeah.
You know, you just have to play with these things. You've got to figure it out. Go with what you feel. And if you think a negative response to a negative energy would get a response, a better response, then why not try it?
Mm.
But most of the time, 90% of the time, it's positive.
Yes.
And I suppose it doesn't help when you do these paranormal evenings that people are so afraid. I think that pushes a lot of it away, because they're
blocking out, aren't they? They're blocking through fear.
See, because one of the things that used to happen in the house was Jan and Fee would hear something, and I'd be like, "I didn't hear a thing."
Mm.
There was a knock upstairs. I didn't hear anything. Or you heard someone whistle, or there was a knock at the door, and I wouldn't hear it. And they were like, "It was just there." I said, "No, I didn't." Then there were times where I would hear stuff. I'd be like, "Did you hear that? Can you hear someone talking in the hall?"
Yeah.
And they'd be like, "Can't hear." I said, "I can hear them now. There, listen." And they couldn't hear it. So I don't know whether it's I'm on a different wavelength or different vibration level than her at that time.
Mm.
I don't know. There was many times where we both hear things, but there was many a time where I wouldn't hear something, or Jan wouldn't hear something. So how you explain that?
Yeah.
Because you're hearing something, and if two of you are hearing it and one doesn't, why doesn't that one person hear it?
Yeah. That will be a puzzle. That will be a puzzle for some time. That there is no, as yet, that there's no answer or conclusion to that. Because I've been there as well. Working with the same people for a long time, we've all been in that situation. It's why I like to rely on specifically audio recordings, because then you've got something you can replay and listen back to. And if it's there, it's there, and it's there. And if it's not, it's not.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, but it was an interesting time there. It would be great to go back. Now we've had a good break from it.
Oh yeah.
After about 6 months, we were quite missing the place.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, now just with you saying, "Oh yeah, I'd love to go back," and because it was home.
Mm.
All right, a bit of a weird one.
It was a talking point when we had visitors. So.
Yeah. And they wouldn't perform. That's one of the other things. They wouldn't perform.
No.
They would perform. No. If we caught it right, where the atmosphere was changing, we knew that was something going on, it would just ease off, because we'd have many people around and said, it's warming up in here, we'll give it a go. Nothing. And as soon as they go, it starts.
Yeah.
It was.
And yet some days there was a few people that come and they witnessed it.
Yeah.
Adrian and Jen.
Yeah.
They came. He didn't believe it. He was techie side of it.
Yeah.
And it banged on the door, and there was no one else in the house. We were all in the front room, and it frightened the life out of him.
Yes.
Frightened the life out of him.
They certainly wouldn't perform, but when they did,
they did.
Yeah.
They picked their timing fantastically.
Right.
But say, come and that house, if you were kind of like looking at it a study point of view, unless you lived there or the person who lived there was saying, right, something's happening, set your gear up and go, you might get something then. But that place, it'd be very rare for you to witness something.
Yeah.
Guys had witnessed a few things there, didn't we?
Yeah.
Where we used to have a mirror in the hallway, which was pretty strange. So if you come out the bathroom, turn left and walk towards down the hallway next to the stairs and turn right, we had a mirror on there, and sometimes you'd catch that right, and you'd see people behind you. You turn around and nothing.
I know in the past, I'm just going to sort of start and wind this down because we've been talking for about an hour now.
Yeah.
I know in the past you've hinted and told me that the house you lived in had got some interesting activity, but we've never spoken in depth about it before, and I think it's fascinating. I didn't realise how much you had witnessed and how much it affected you.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. We've got kind of like lists and lists of stuff that we've just doodled down and jotted down of the stuff we witnessed.
But there's a lot of stuff. I mean, we were sitting there one night and a blur of colour went from one wall straight through the other wall and cut the living room in two. It was just a blur of colour. You know,
which lasted seconds.
No.
We've had things that have been standing behind the TV, which was glowing, like a glowing shape.
Yeah.
And that lasted for about 10 seconds and then just disappeared. All sorts of things would go on there. All sorts of weird stuff.
Some of these things that you're talking about, see, I start to partially connect this with our very old caveman brains. Now, when we go back to caveman days, they had to be very aware of their surroundings to literally to survive, because there was lots of things out there that would kill them. You know, I'm talking Neanderthal type man.
Yeah.
And I think there's little elements of our brain that still has this awareness sensing capability. Now, our modern 21st century world is very, very visual, very mobile, very electronic. And there's no need for us to use those inner senses.
No.
But in this setting that you're talking about, and other ones that we've both been to, if you focus your mind either deliberately or accidentally on sensing and listening for unusual things, but we don't know what we're listening for, I think we're partially reverting back to our caveman brains. And it's that's connecting us, or we're connecting with this sensing of we call it energy. We don't know exactly what we're talking about, but we call it. We call it, and I think that's what it is. It's part of our brain is switching on that doesn't get much use.
Yeah, I think it's a part of how we will eventually evolve, and I honestly believe that it will, maybe in a million years' time, maybe that sound and vision will be a thing of the past, and we'll be all be able to think to each other. When I was talking about the Reiki thing the last time we talked, when I was saying I believe we can like communicate through energy as well, and I used to think the analogy of being on the phone. You have a good whinge, your friend puts the phone down, they feel drained. So I still think that is starting to come through. We're starting to notice these things. So I think eventually, if we give, as we evolve, maybe, because at the end of the day, we only see a tiny spectrum of light.
Yes.
What else is in that huge amount of light that we cannot see? The same as sound. The sound.
I think all these little things are part of the mystery that keeps us interested in the paranormal world that we're involved in. It's all these unanswered questions and areas that we may or may not ever in our lifetimes get answers to, but it keeps us interested in it all, doesn't it?
Of course it does, What is the bump? What is the thing that goes bump in the night?
I don't know. You tell me. You've heard it more than I have.
Tell me about it.
Right, I'm going to wind things up now because people will be wanting to go and use the little room and have a cup of tea or a glass of wine or whatever.
That's the
one.
one.
I'll say thank you very much for joining me tonight.
No problem.
I have got a few other people that want to come forward and share their experiences firsthand, things that have happened to them. So I hope to repeat this again next Sunday.
Yeah.
Probably have a couple more guests on then talking. But I think your story is absolutely fascinating. I didn't realise there was so much to it. And you've done very well to come through it.
Yeah.
It brought us together more than anything.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it brought us together.
Yeah.
You know, so, right then. Have a nice evening.
I'll just say thank you to everyone out there that's been listening to us out in Facebook land. I hope you can join me again for the next episode. If anyone wants to contact me, come through with stories, anything significant that's happened to them firsthand, send me a private message and I'll try and include you in a future broadcast, because the more we share these experiences, the greater our chances of understanding them, sharing our stories. So thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Danny, Jan, and we'll see you all next time. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.